In a matter of weeks, Putin and his commandos stole Crimea. Now he's on to eastern Ukraine. I and other members of Congress were in Ukraine last week, and the people were rightfully concerned about Putin's next move into their nation. According to press reports this morning, Secretary Kerry said that we now have intelligence revealing that operatives in Ukraine are taking orders directly from Moscow. Secretary Kerry also said that some of the same Russian operatives from Crimea and Georgia have shown up in eastern Ukraine. When I went to eastern Ukraine, one of the officials gave me a wanted poster for what he called Russian saboteurs. It is in Ukrainian, and it's on the screen. I'll hold this up. There it is. This is a copy of the wanted poster, and he was willing to pay out of his own money for Russian equipment that had been, if it was confiscated by Ukrainians, everything from machine guns, rifles, to anybody that's occupying one of the Ukrainian buildings without permission. He's willing to offer rewards for that. So I thought that was quite interesting that they are concerned about the insurrection or if insurgents in his own part of the state. I believe these actions we should understand that we have to reevaluate our agreements with the Russians because of their failure to abide by international law, in that they have entered Crimea, Ukraine, and even other Baltic states are concerned, and so reflected that in conversations with them. In my opinion, the Russians are not our allies, they're not our friends, and we certainly can't take them for their word. Exhibit A is the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, the INF. And this treaty between the United States and Russia places limits on ground-launched ballistic and cruise missiles with ranges between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. The United States has held up our agreement in the treaty. It appears the Russians have not. According to press reports, it appears the Russians have tested a ground-launched cruise missile from an operational launcher. The Russians have responded, this is a sea-based missile, which does not fall under the treaty. There's no way to know if it's a sea-based missile until it's actually deployed, but even so, if it was a sea-based missile and the Russians tested it on land using an operational launcher, it's in violation of the treaty. Either way, the Russians are violating this treaty. According to press reports, the administration knew about the violation back in 2008. 6 years later, the State Department says the violation is still under review and has not officially classified it as a violation or not. Time for the State Department to pick a horse and ride it. Either it's a violation or it's not a violation. I've introduced H-Con Res 94 with Representative Rogers and Joe Heck, calling the Russians out for their violation of, and the administration for its refusal to tell it like it is. We had hoped that a formal determination would be in this year's Arms Control Compliance Report, but the report itself, due in April, is already late. Apparently, the State Department needs more time to figure out what the rest of us already believe. The Russians do not have to worry about violations as much as the New START Treaty. During negotiations, they gutted the verifications that were in the old START Treaty. The most significant changes were the elimination of verification measures for some ICBMs and reduction of total number of inspections. When the Senate was debating approval in 2010, critics argued the treaty was nonsensical because the Russians were already at or below the required levels in key categories, while we had delivery vehicles and warheads that were way above these new levels. Just like the critics warned, the Russians have since undergone the most extensive nuclear modernization since the end of the Cold War, all without violating the New START Treaty. We had a reason to be distrustful of the Russians when the New START went into effect in 2010, and we have more reasons today. The fact is, Russians willing to treat these treaties as less than binding when it suits them. That's not how treaties are supposed to work. Despite this, the administration has pledged to seek deeper cuts in nuclear arms. In June 2013, the President called for the reduction of our deployed strategic nuclear weapons by up to 1/3. My personal opinion is this would be dangerous and is misguided based on the information that we have about the Russians. Fortunately, Putin may have saved us from ourselves. The Russians have, quote, no apparent interest in further arms reductions before 2017, according to numerous arms control experts. The United States should not continue to seek agreements with the Russians when they either cheat or show no interest in those agreements. I don't think it's not now the time to be kowtowing to Putin.